Hey guys, so today you and I are going to talk about the value of a feature. So let's get into it. So the question in question was, Frederick, how does a software engineering team determine the value of a feature? This is, hands down, the number one reason why I get into arguments with stakeholders in IT companies. That is the number one reason why I get frustrated. It's the number one reason why I sometimes I will have to practice mindfulness to the point where I don't fully express my thoughts about other people, because this thing here is the greatest indicator to the overall competency of the people that you are working with, in my opinion at the very least. Because the average team does not actually figure out how valuable something is. They simply build it because they were told so. The average product owner doesn't actually know what value for money is in IT. They will build anything that they are told to build. The average product manager has no clue, usually, what is actually going to make money or what's going to produce value for the customers or anything like that. They will simply produce something based on what I call gut feeling driven development. That is what everybody's supposed to be data driven. That is a lie, or it's usually a lie. The thing that is most common is that you measure the results of what you do, but you don't actually learn or change your work process. People look at data as a historic thing more than they are looking at it as like something that they use to inform their future decision-making processes in many cases. And most decisions for stakeholders are based on gut feeling. It's not always true, but it's the norm from what I can see. And this is a gigantic problem in IT. And as I said, it's the reason why I in many cases get very frustrated with stakeholders, because it's often that I find software teams spending their time building these like weird proof of concept hacky solutions because management or product wants to try something out and it's not going to work. They can't get it to work, and then so it's a half-baked solution that has more to do with that product managers or product owners fear of not delivering on goals for higher management, which is of course putting them in a bad like personal position. It's the same thing with politicians who fuck up the entire world because they don't want to lose their job. Instead, they make really bad decisions for the country or for the company or for the groups or so forth because of themselves, because they are incapable of doing a better job. And that's why it's such a difficult thing to find out what features are going to be valuable. Guys, I've worked in more companies where the only thing that determines at all if a feature is valuable or not comes down to the one and only thing that matters, and that is who made the call, who made the request to the team for this feature. Now you might think that is something that is obvious. Well, obvious that people who are asking you to build something are the users. No. On average it's not. Most of the time it's somebody else. It's either a manager or someone who has like a vision of how to build something, or it's something that it's an experiment. Usually, if user feedback is notoriously difficult, guys, it's very difficult to have a consistent flow of the willing users of the system helping you out developing new features, because most people don't want to sit and fill out feedback forms and sitting meetings and things like that for no pay and for no reason apart from helping a company make more money. So you have to make bets, you have to do investigations, etc. That is sort of the thing that a lot of these product owners and UX people and so forth are supposed to be doing. It's just that it's a process that is so flawed and so littered with personal opinions and stupid decisions that it becomes almost unfeasible to do it in a consistent way. And the only time I've found a team to be effective at determining the value of a feature is to do the thing that, well, I sort of feel like we lost our way here, but that's just me. The politicians figured this out in the 90s, I think, or was it the 80s, or maybe even before that. Focus groups. That is the best way to determine the value of a feature. You have to actually have a regular group of people who represent these interested parties of your work be part of regular sync-ups related to the product, and then continuously interview them for feedback and improvements. And when you get no more feedback and improvements, stop. Just realize when the system is doing all that it needs to be doing, and don't try to shoehorn in more things. Go and find another focus group and grow the system. That is what I suggest. But if we're just talking high level, like how do you do evaluate the feature's value, usually what you try to go at the very least for is the impact. The impact, how big of impact does this feature have? So an example is a lot of people, and this is also something that frustrates me so much. You guys, you have no idea how many times a product owner has come to me and wanted me to build this thing that is so silly, so subjective, and so ridiculous, and invest weeks and weeks and weeks of work, and then I just go and ask, after all the planning is done, okay, but how much time is this going to save? And then the users go, oh no, actually it was just this thing I mentioned to the product owner, it's probably gonna give us an hour maybe every 6 months. And then you kind of sit there. So we're gonna build a solution that is not really a blocker today. It's not something that is required by any means. Invest weeks and weeks and weeks of work into this, so that you don't have to do like this thing or so forth, because it saves you an hour. And then I do what I like to say, the real test, and I go, if I asked you to pay me 10,000, or so, I just make up a number, how much money would you pay for this feature of your own money? And then they say, no, this is just a nice to have. And then it turns out that no, this is actually not important to anybody. It's just that the product owner is so incompetent that they don't know how to figure out value. That's guys, you have no idea how common this is. It is the norm. The amount of money that is being wasted in IT due to incompetence is enormous. We're talking not at the level that the military spends on, well, I'm not just saying the military, but the sort of products we're talking where they literally just shovel out money out the window. That is the level of incompetent spending, and this building features that nobody asked for. This is like daily stuff in IT. I've worked with teams where you ask them, they spent months on something, and then you ask them who made the call, who ordered the feature, and they can't answer you. Someone just thought it was a good idea, and they don't have a competent manager or a supervisor or something like that knows what they're doing, so they just sat and did fuck all for months, building something that was very extravagant and probably a fun idea for the engineers, but nobody's going to use it. It's a completely unused feature. And guys, this is, I would even go, I don't want to say too much now, but this is the norm. It's more common that you find people doing this sort of stuff, wasting a lot of money and resources on building things that nobody really cares about, than there are people working on functionality that is actually value building for anybody. So what I want you to take away from this is that the way that usually the engineers figure out if a feature has value is that you talk to someone who's going to use the thing. That is how you should figure it out. You should have a fairly good understanding of your user group. You should have a good impact analysis, because that's how you should do it. You should figure out how much of a difference does this make, because you're always going to be busy. There's always going to be a million things going on, and you have to prioritize. So you try to prioritize, ideally, the stuff that has the largest impact from all perspectives. How much time, I'd like to go with time is a good one. How much time is this going to save a person? How much more money is this going to make the company? How much faster is this going to, everything from, usually you focus on time or money or revenue or something like that, and then you work backwards in terms of value. But some people really are very, very shit at this, and it is the norm, which, as I said, is unfortunate, but it is the reality. Most IT companies, especially the large ones, they waste millions every day on building things they're not going to make any money from. And that in many cases is just some incompetent product owner or technical manager somewhere's idea, and it's actually not going to pay off. And in some cases it's the software developers. This is why it's so difficult, because it's all hypothetical, and most people are very, very shit at evaluating how to effectively execute on projects and actually get the return on investment. That's why a software company can become a money pit if you're not careful, because, as I like to say, it's a talent business. And you can't mass hire talent. You have to have the right people. But unfortunately for the world, you can't scale talent to the extent that we need in software development. And that's why you just have to continuously throw more and more money at the problem and hope and pray that this time we got it right. This time we're going to build something that is actually value building for the end customer. Have a great day.